Hi, everybody. So happy to see you, even if it's your picture. Hope everybody's okay. We have a full agenda and we are going to be doing stuff that we weren't able to get done at the CAC yesterday. So the agenda is full of questions, which we will get to as well. But I would like to begin by reading a proclamation. Amy's on, right? Amy Yamashiro.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to know, wait, let me see if this is the seal of the city and county of Honolulu. Can you read that? How come I can't get it? There. Okay. And I'm going to read it. You can see it actually has, this is mirrored. I'm going crazy here. Okay, it's got the, I'll get it right. There, you can see it's a declaration from the mayor, Rick Blangiardi. One of the very first things that the new mayor has said, the Kapi'olani Community College Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics program is given the Environmental Hero Award. I read, in recognition of your ongoing support of the city's stormwater quality programs in public education, dedication to executing best management practices to prevent water pollution, and appreciation for improving the quality of life in our neighborhoods and communities. Done this 10th day of February, a little bit late, 2021 in Honolulu, Hawaii. And it's the mayor. So congratulations to all the folks in STEM who have been named environmental heroes. Very cool.
Can I just quickly shout out, that is Leanne De La Vega and Calais Galarita behind that award 100%. So kudos to them.
That's right. They got the Good Neighbor Award, right?
Yes.
Excellent. Congratulations to those folks. Okay, I'm on a small screen, so I'm going to have to do some weird things to see anything. I do want to just remind folks that we are still requiring masks on campus and still social distancing. So please do continue. If you come on campus, make sure that you are following those guidelines. Thank you. And Corey Nishimoto, is Corey on already?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Corey's going to update us on the t-shirt design contest. Go ahead, Corey.
Hi, everyone. Just to let everyone know a quick update, we're still having the t-shirt contest, one that we had in 2019 to 2020. This is actually the winning design right here, and the winner got a $1,200 scholarship. And we're having a little bit of a hard time this semester getting people to actually submit it, mainly because advertisement is a little hard through the pandemic. So if you guys could, we would really appreciate it if you just send it out to your students. All I did was I sent an email with the link of this, with this file there, and put it in my Laulima, and that was it. And I got 2 responses almost immediately that they wanted to participate in this program. It is for our 75-year anniversary. So it is a big contest right now. So please, if you could, will you support the initiative?
Thank you. Any questions for Corey? Corey, could you is there a URL for this flyer?
So I have a PDF of it, and I think.
If you can send it to me, I can make sure everybody gets it.
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you. Okay. Next on the agenda is a note about Friday, March 12th. It is the deadline for continuous improvement surveys for all the AGOs and councils. So that pretty much covers everybody on the campus. Some way or another, you're a member of an AGO and no doubt fall into a council somewhere along the line. So please do complete those surveys by Friday this week. Any questions? Oh, look, there's already a URL. Terrific. Next week is spring break. Feels kind of early to me, but it is spring break, and we will not be having a campus Zoom on Wednesday next week. So enjoy the hour. Enjoy your spring break too. One small thing in the updates is there's a link to a Padlet. I mentioned to you guys last week, Wednesday, that this is actually tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of the University of Hawaii's declaration of, going not lockdown, but certainly remote for COVID. So in a year, we've had our lives, professional and personal, disrupted. And it's a milestone that I think should give us time to think about what the impact of the pandemic has been. So there's a Padlet, and thank you to Jamie Sickle for creating it. And if you have some thoughts to share about what you've learned during this year, about yourself, about your colleagues, about your students, your family, what's important to you, what's not important to you now. It's an opportunity to share, totally voluntary, no incentives to do so, just a sharing of thoughts and concerns. So appreciate it. Thank you, Jamie, for putting it in the chat as well. So it's in the chat and it's also in the agenda. Let's see. If we now take some time to go into our breakout groups. I did say at the CAC, so for those who maybe weren't there at CAC, the system, the UHCC system, is conducting a whole bunch of different cross-campus work groups, looking at different aspects of operations, academic programs, functions, looking at efficiencies as a way to right-size the university, which is what the Board of Regents is asking of us. And a number of our administrators are facilitators of those work groups. And we want to make sure that people have an opportunity to hear what's going on with the work groups, because March 12th is a critical day for those cross-campus work groups as well. It is a day for the groups to put forward their suggestions or recommendations about their thought processes at this point in the conversations dealing with centralized operations, consolidation of academic programs, etc. So we're going to create some breakout groups, and you are free to go to any of these breakout groups. Or if you choose not to, you will be defaulted into this breakout group. Right, Joanne?
Correct. Sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, so a little bit of a rundown on these groups. So Maria and Nava'a will be in a room together, 6 feet apart, but no need for masks. No, I'm just kidding. It's a Zoom room, so they're not even going to be together really. But they are there to answer any questions that folks might have about transfer programs. Lisa will be there in her room to discuss what the conversations have been in the health programs. John will be in a room to discuss what's been going on in the business programs. Noea will be in a room to discuss what's been going on in student affairs. Brian and I do not have any responsibilities for work groups. So we will be in our separate rooms because we cannot be in a room together. There's too much going on. But if anybody has questions for Brian or me, you're welcome to join the groups. If you would prefer not to be in any group, Joanne will stay in this room and will address whatever questions you have. If you are, say, a faculty member in business and you know, because John has been updating everybody, you know what's going on in business, but you'd like to hear what's going on in the transfer group, feel free. You don't have to go into the group that matches your discipline area. You can go to whatever group you would like to ask questions of. We will schedule the groups for about 10 minutes. And after that, we'll all come back to this room and each of us will be able to address or debrief, let everybody know what went on in the 10 minutes so that you didn't miss out on anything. So at this point, let me just stop and ask, what isn't clear about what I've just said? What haven't I made clear? If I'm not mistaken, can we move from room to room? Yeah, I guess so. I don't think you have to ask permission either. We can select our own room. Yes, you will be selecting your own rooms.
When did
I
this
have
closed
no
caption
idea.
come?
I'm sorry?
How did that happen?
Yeah, when did this closed caption start coming in?
What closed caption?
Look at the bottom of your screen.
I
I
don't
turned
have-
it on at the beginning of the meeting.
Pretty cool, Jamie.
I don't see it, so there. I'm not
And
seeing.
it's perfect. It's. I wonder if it understands pigeon. It's
No,
so-
yeah, start talking.
We
Digress.
went through this
We're just having
conversation
fun
about 5 Zoom meetings ago, and we did the same thing.
Well, I do know that when we watched the state legislature hearings, Mike Unibasami came out as Luna Bus Tommy, so it's not great. Okay, I have no idea how it's going to work technically. Jamie, you want to help us out here?
Yep. Are you ready? I can just open up all the rooms and then you guys should be able to see where you can choose to go to a room. Are you all seeing that?
Uh-oh.
No.
Mhm.
I got one to go to a breakout room. I guess that's mine.
So do we go there now, Jamie?
Yeah.
Oh. Jamie, where does that appear? Should be on my screen.
Should
Yeah.
pop up. Yeah.
It doesn't pop up for us to choose from.
It's at the bottom next to live transcript. It says breakout rooms and click on it.
Yeah. Can you guys see it at the bottom toolbar?
No.
Yeah.
Some people are. There's like 7 people in
Okay.
Noel's room. Okay.
Oh, shoots.
Nada.
Join.
You might not have an updated version.
Oh,
if you just-
yeah.
if you let Jamie know where you want to go, I think she can assign you.
Yep. I can put you in if you tell me one at a time.
Joanne's going to be really popular today.
This is Terry Mitchell. Can you put me in Noel's room?
Sure. Terry.
Thank you.
Let me find you, Terry. Sorry. Okay.
Wow.
Jamie, I see a request in the chat from Hal to go to John's room. I'm on my phone and maybe he is too.
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
not sure I'm not sure that if people on the phone have the ability to put themselves into breakout rooms, but since I'm perfectly happy where I am, you don't have to do anything for me.
Okay. I got Hal.
And if you want to make someone a co-host, like I can help move people too if you need, or so, I don't know, maybe it's more complicated.
You have to have an updated version of Zoom.
Jamie, this is John. Can you send me my invite to the breakout?
Sure.
Again, it's grayed out and I can't get in yet.
Oh, yeah. Oh, shoots, John. Let me see. So, John, you can't join your room?
Well, it gave me a join, but then when I went into the breakout rooms in progress,
Mm-hmm.
I haven't, it says me, but not joined. And so I haven't been able to join yet. I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, because I assigned you there. Let me see.
It came up originally, but then I don't know. I don't know what I did.
Okay, let's see. John, can you do me a favor? Can you just log out and then rejoin?
Log out of Zoom altogether?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, thanks.
All right, no problem.
Hi, Jamie. Can you
Hey.
put me in? Hello, me and Kathy. If you haven't yet, yeah, Kathy and I into Noea's room.
Sure, Angela. Let me find you. And Kathy Wehrman. And Noelle. Okay. Anybody else?
Yes.
Is John
Jamie,
back
this is
yet?
Adam.
This is Pat. I can't get in any breakout rooms.
Pat, let's see.
Pat Taylor.
Oh, okay. Pat, which one did you want to go to?
So is Lisa Raddick, is she in a breakout room by herself there?
She is, but you can join her.
Yes, I'll join her.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Did
Yeah,
John
this
come
is
back?
John again.
Great.
I left and came back, but I still don't have the invite
Oh, shoots, John.
to the
Let me see.
breakout.
Oh, okay. I'm going to try it again. Here you go.
There it is. Thank you.
Yay.
Hey, Jamie, this is Adam Mora. Could you put me in Nava's room?
Sure. Okay, there you go, Adam. Anybody else?
Jamie, I'm so sorry. I've been having to kind of put out fires in between, so I'm not sure what we're doing right now.
No, no worries. So Cheryl, we've got various breakout rooms, and if you have the latest Zoom update, you can choose which one to go to. And we're talking about the kind of reorg conversations.
I see.
Yeah. So Louise and Brian have kind of just general questions, and then everybody else has their specific groups that they've been working with.
Oh, okay. So I guess I'll go to Noelle's as well. For
Okay.
counseling. Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else?
So for those who are in the main room, everyone's going to be in a breakout room for only about 10 minutes. So in the meantime, is there any questions that I may answer or anything you want to talk about? You can ask it in the chat.
Oh, this is Kara, and I'll get started with the CIC meeting yesterday. I feel like we might want to do some town halls around budget and how it aligns with our goals and directions as a campus. So I think there was some questions there, and I think that maybe opening that up and spending more time might help answer folks' questions. So that would be one recommendation that I have for the week. But I guess that's not really related to the changes at the system. So
how was that? That was kind of fun for me. So we have some time now to share, if you can, what was discussed, and I can start with mine. I had questions about 11 to 9 It's one of the mechanisms specified in Erica's memo number 3. The questions were, what's the timeline? And will people be consulted about this before the time clock starts? And the answer is yes. If there are any changes from 11 to 9, it will be based on the functions, not on dollars. And if there is going to be a change from 11 to 9, it would most likely be in effect as of August 1. And most likely there would be a 90-day timeline for notification, and there would be conversations prior to that. There was another question about the academic programs and certain campuses being identified as being lead campuses, and we didn't really have time to really get into that, but yes, there are lots of conversations about how programs will collaborate with each other, and possibly we'll hear more about that from the other groups. So Maria and Nava'a, any debrief from yours?
I'll let Maria go after, but Maria did all the talking. So there was no time for questions. So we apologize to the group that was there.
We only updated them, Louise, with everything that was happening on the transfer group.
And what was that? Anything like
collaborating with the other campuses, working with them to schedule classes, making sure that we work with each other so that faculty are fully loaded and we're not offering low enrolled classes and things like that.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, anything you want to share with the larger group?
Based on those in attendance, we just kind of discussed high level. The nursing PCC had met last week, and I was given the notes from that. And so I was just kind of reviewing that with those in attendance and talking about the challenges that still remain with nursing. They've already, a curriculum is pretty much aligned. 3 of the 4 campuses all have the same curriculum, which is one of the things outlined that we were to work on. So that's already done. But just talking about the challenges of coordinating all of the clinical experiences and those things, together. So that was pretty much all that we talked about, was more related to nursing.
Okay, thank you.
We updated on the progress of the work groups. The question that we were talking about before, I needed just a little more time to leave the breakout to answer, was any of the funds that are going to be coming our way from this new recovery package, CRISA, whatever it may be, do we think that will impact the timing or need to furlough employees?
And that's an unanswered question.
It is.
From your.
Yes.
Right. Right. And I don't believe that that's the way to use the funding. And there are no furloughs on the horizon, as far as I know.
So to expand on that, the other question is how long can we kick the can down the road before we go off the cliff?
That's yeah, I cannot answer the question about the governor and what he wants to do with state, but it will be determined by the governor, not by us.
No, thank you. That's it.
Okay, Noel?
I mean, we just played Pictionary in our Zoom room. No, so our Zoom room, because I think most of the people were student affairs, which they kind of had the update. So some of the non-student affairs, we gave a update, and a lot of the conversation was around the talks of consolidation. So the 2 biggest ones that are being run at the system, one is centralization of admissions, which our representative is Jerry Anokawa, and centralization of financial aid, which is Jennifer Bradley. So what I shared, and I'm not the expert on it, but a lot of the things that they're doing right now is really on the back end processing and how to change all of that, because that's really where their procedures and processes work. Our biggest concern, of course, is what staffing will look like at the end of the day, which we don't know. And then both groups, the implementation timeline, and if Jerry or Jennifer's can correct me if I'm wrong, should be next fall, right? Because you want these decisions to really be made now, hopefully by fall, because you want it a year ahead so you can change everything in the background. The other conversations was with counseling faculty, the 350 to 1. How many counselors will we have? What's the process for that? So I gave an update on that one with admin. We're meeting to create a tentative plan in terms of looking at what essential services our students need, and then to fold in representatives from the counseling work group that will join us to then put in the details and map it all out, and then re-plug in the counselors to see how much we really need for a campus. And based on that, we'll kind of determine the number on what we really need.
Thank you, Noel. Brian?
Giving you an overview of what we talked about. It was the Kelly Nakamura show. No, I'm kidding, Kelly. Kelly was the one who had most of the questions, and it just had to deal with making sure that she and programs and faculty were asking for appropriate requests, or they were making appropriate requests for CARES and Carissa funding. And that was about it. So hopefully I answered most of her questions. And did you want more detail?
No, I think that's good. Thank you. Joanne?
Yep, we actually did have a few comments that because of just the questions about budget and Carissa and CARES, that maybe we should do a town hall on the budget to talk about, you know, to make sure the campus knows what's going on. And the other thought was to have some written documentation so that everyone knows.
Okay, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a town hall, but not now. And I say not now only because there are still questions that haven't been answered at the federal level. And so there are questions that just don't have answers right now. I don't know if it's worth, not worth is not the right word, but if there's, give us maybe after spring break, if folks are okay with that, we'll probably get a little bit more solid direction, I hope, from the federal government as well as the US DOE, to let us know more about the guidelines and the guidance and all that kind of stuff, because they're still figuring things out and we don't have definite answers. But I do want to refer everybody to the agenda for today's meeting, because there were a whole bunch of questions in there, which I thank you, Brian, for putting many of the answers in there so that they're there for posterity. So what?
The discussion about a town hall, I heard two things in there. One was the campus budget, and one was CARES and Carissa funding. And we, as a campus, please understand, those are two very separate discussions, and we need to be careful of combining that discussion. We cannot use this Carissa or CARES funding to simply replace, you know, we're going to go pay the chancellor's salary with this now. We can't do things like that. And we need to be careful about that. So I don't want folks to get the two mixed up.
Okay. I think I'm trying to go back to the agenda, and I think that's all the items for the agenda except for questions.
Louise, I have a
hello?
question.
Yes.
This is Adam. I have a question I couldn't get to in the breakout rooms. Is now a good time for this?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So in terms of the shared courses model, right? Is it that students from other campuses can use their own campus's courses as well as other campuses' courses to have a degree or certificate from their home campus?
It is possible. So not so possible, well, less possible in the CTE programs that have much more prescribed curricula. But if the courses have been articulated, then there's no problem. For liberal arts, ASNS, same alpha, same number, same course, it just is accepted. For things other than those that have the same number, same alpha, there would have to be some evaluation by the program faculty as to the equivalency of the courses.
Okay. So if we don't really fit any of the three models in a way that strengthens our program or serves any of the less robust programs, can we look at other options to combine these models, or are there other options for us?
I would think that if the models that have been suggested don't fit the curriculum or the program areas, and Adam is faculty in the New Media Arts program, one of the programs that is under consideration because of the proliferation of degrees and multiple certificates, not on our campus, but on other campuses where there are some real complications. If there's an alternative to those models that does strengthen the programs and reduce redundancies and optimize resources, then I would think Erica folks and the chancellors would be happy to consider.
Thank you, Luis.
Louise, this is John Rand. I have a question too. I was in the academic affairs breakout, and they were discussing a little bit about how we're dealing with low enrolled classes on multiple campuses. And they gave the example of CE 270 being offered at 2 different campuses. And I'm just wondering, Nava and Maria, what the wisdom is of moving students around with all of the complications of financial aid and getting the appropriate grades to transfer and so on to the right campus. Why don't we leave the classes alone and just move the faculty workloads around? Has that been considered?
That too is being discussed, like faculty teaching for other campuses, but it's still a system. I mean, it's still something that there's a lot of things that needs to be done in order for that to happen. So that's also on the table, John.
Okay, because it seems like you don't want to mess with the students. You don't want to screw up their education because we are trying to solve a problem. I think it's easier for the administration to deal with the faculty or they should deal with the faculty instead of messing with students. But anyway, okay. Thank you.
Hey, John, that's a great comment. I think what we're trying to do is how do we do as much work in the background so students really don't need to do anything. It's just like taking a regular course, but how we can move things in the background so, we can have possibly an instructor from another campus. I'm not too familiar how the 5-week courses work, but they kind of, when I see a 5-week course and it's low enrolled, I'm always telling the chairs, cancel it, it's low enrolled, not realizing that it's the 5-week course. But I think that once I learn more about how they work the 5-week course, I think there's something in there that we could possibly help facilitate the whole thing about students being home-based one place and not having to worry about their financial aid and all these other issues. But thanks for the comment.
Or team teaching.
Ah, there you go.
Are there other questions from folks? Okay, while you're thinking about questions, Brian, you want to update folks on spring break operations?
Yeah, just a quick reminder for everyone that next week is spring break. And as sent out last month, we will not have AC. And for those programs that actually have classes going, then you should have already submitted a facility request, but it must be due to a class. Llama is always the lucky building. They'll have AC for 5 work days, but that's because of mold conditions and things that can build up. NIO will also have AC because of the IT equipment that's in those buildings. If you need AC for whatever reason, you can grab your stuff and head over to 202A, ELIMA 202A or ELIMA 202B. In those 2 rooms, those units will be available for turn on. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Are there other questions, other announcements?
Yeah, Louise.
Hi, Alfred.
Hi. It just occurred to me, and maybe this has been taken care of directly or perhaps indirectly, but you know, there's some CTE programs on campus that have heavy transfer lists of courses, in particular the business technology education. It's coming from accounting and IT with the intro ICS 101 to Biz 250 to accounting 201, 202. And there's a significant number of transfers I know to the College of Business that require these courses. And it's been very sketchy as far as how some of these courses have been looked at from transferability. Maybe it looked at it from a point from the CTE point of view as far as the 2-year programs. So I'm just a little concerned. You know,
What's the concern, Alfred? I don't get it.
That perhaps, you know, we don't have a face to talk about transferability concerning CTE courses, let's say to the various campuses.
Do you mean that the students are not able to transfer those courses?
Well, not necessarily, but for the fact that we need to determine how many courses to offer each campus for transferability, and you know, it has to be done. I would think from the standpoint of how many can be supported by each individual CT program, plus you know the support for transferability. And it may come to the point where, you know, does one of the campuses take lead role in either of the situations? And that part's unclear. I don't know if it's being hammered out entirely in those individual groups for the CTE programs, and yet alone, you know, for the transfer.
Well, as far as I could see, the accounting courses are required for both the AS degree in accounting and for the AA degree in liberal arts with a concentration in business administration, correct?
Yes.
As an example.
That's true.
And so there's lots of people whose eyes are on accounting 201 and 202. And it would be those courses as well as ICS 101, for example, where you would want to have a conversation across the different program areas. So for instance, Windward Community College does not have a business degree, but they offer accounting 201 and 202. So is there an opportunity for the department chairs who oversee those courses to have a conversation about how many students do you need coverage for, and how many, you know, sections do we need to have system-wide? Now, when I was working with Carlos Peñalosa, the chancellor at Leeward, we did that kind of analysis. We looked at all of some very high enrolled classes. I don't remember if accounting 201 and 202 were in there. But we did look at how many sections were offered of those courses across the system, how many empty seats there were in all of the courses that were offered across the system, and how many excess sections there were, and how many sections were needed across the system. So that if there were an opportunity for a meta conversation across department chairs saying, how many do you offer? How many do you offer? Okay, combined, we only need to offer X, so we don't have to have so many and end up with low enrolled sections. So there is a way to have that conversation, Alfred. It just takes a little bit more convening in the case of business, because you're going across different programs, not just CTE. That probably
Okay.
didn't.
Okay. Well, to me, it seems like it's being done on one level, and I don't know where the group that deals with transferability comes in. I'm not sure if we had representation on it.
The transfer group was the AA in liberal arts, the AA in Hawaiian studies, and the ASNS. Those were the 3 program areas. And liberal arts across all of the community colleges does also, I'm lying, I don't know that for a fact, but ours certainly includes a concentration in business administration. So those courses are part of that conversation.
Okay, good to know.
So, Luis, Alfred, maybe, I can loop you into conversations that we have in terms of transfer. I think, is business part, does one of the accounting or business courses have an FQ on it? It does, yeah?
Yes, the business 250.
Yeah, so I think the main goal is to kind of ensure that our full-time faculty have a full load. I mean, just trying to be honest. And then the second goal is, once all our full-time faculty have a full load, how do we then hire lecturers system-wide and not just, like, well, we need, I think, like for physiology, Amy might have 8 lecturers because, well, that's how much we need and that's how much students want to take the class. But how possibly do we spread it out amongst the system? So I can keep you in the loop, or maybe your chair in the loop, whatever works for you. What do you think, Maria?
Yeah, I mean, those courses are transferable, so
yeah.
they should.
Well, I don't mind if you keep me in the loop or make me part of the committee.
It's no committee.
Yeah.
Or okay, in the loop then.
Yeah. Okay.
So there is, in the conversations that are being had in that transfer group, it really is about how many sections do we need as a system, not how many does my campus need, your campus. It's really combined as a system. And the key is to make sure that we accommodate the students who need the courses. So it is driven by student demand and how best to meet that demand, first by full-time faculty, and then as necessary, system-wide, looking at how many extra sections do we offer and who can do it, who can offer. It is a level of analysis for scheduling that we have not dealt with before. We have always only looked at our own resources and our own campus. And now we're looking at taking a little bit higher level across the systems to make it as efficient as possible. Yeah, Neva.
What's the definition for efficiency in these terms?
That's an in-joke, you guys.
Oh boy.
Nava and I have been having that conversation.
Nava'a and Luis, thank you. I just wanted to put a shout out because the accounting PCC, Luis, has been doing exactly what you say. I mean, in fact, Calvin is on it. I mean, Calvin has a mega spreadsheet And they are working across the system to analyze, how many accountant courses are required. So I think Business 250 is a interesting course because it is taught by cross programs, right? IT is Alfred is an IT faculty, and it's being scheduled by accounting, similar to business law. So those are just the little tweaks we have to make. But I think we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you. John Rand. Is that you, John Rand, in there? It just says John. The measure should be efficacy, not efficiency. Thank you.
Yes, me.
Did you want to say something, Naval?
Yeah. I'm just gonna say it. So I'm working with some of the AA and Hawaiian Studies folks, and so I've been just looking at data across the system, and then I went after the four-year campuses, and
Naval, you went after them?
Sorry, I didn't go after them, but I started looking at their data and how their maximum enrollments and is just so low. And, if we're talking about being efficient as a 10 campus system, do you think it's not wise for an administrator at a 2-year campus to make recommendations such as, here's the data that clearly shows that if we're thinking about students and their financial well-being, it is best that 100 and 200 level courses be taught at the CCs rather than at the 4-year. I'm thinking of those kind of recommendations because, so I just looked at Hawaiian Studies 101, 102, 201, 202, Hawaiian Studies 107, and Hawaiian Studies 270. The CC campus brings in about 12,000 SSH with just those 5 courses. And Manoa brings in like 7,000. But, I'm looking at it going, if we want to be efficient system-wide 10 campus, that if you're going to hire a graduate student to teach a 100 level course, then send your graduate student to us and we will hire them. And I don't know if the 4-year campuses will take offense, and I really don't care that much, but are those kinds of recommendations we can make?
There are no limits on the recommendations you can make. Consider the implications of that particular one, and it's not new. Lots of people have had that conversation about, let Manoa do Manoa's thing, upper division, the way West Oahu was before, and some people believe should be again, just looking at upper division. But try to determine whether you can or campuses can actually accommodate all of the extra students. Could we handle it if we said, okay, we're going to do all 100 and 200? Do we have the capacity to do that?
Alrighty. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are there other questions from other folks? If there are things in the agenda that you guys have additional questions about?
Can I just ask real quick? You used a word I don't know. H-O-U-E?
H-O-U-E?
Hours.
Yeah.
Should have been hours.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, hours. Yeah.
Oh, that's my typing. Thanks, Hal. Student semester hour, like credit hours.
Yeah. So really quick, because it took me a while to understand it, how if you teach a course that the max enrollment is 35 students and it's a 3-credit course, the course is bringing in 105 SSH, student semester hours. And the way I look at it is 105 times $131 equals that's how much was brought in for that. I know I shouldn't be looking at money, but I do.
From question number 8 in the agenda, Angela says, can Brian or others explain again what is this? What this is for the people in the back? Direct charge for purposes related to the impact. What? Brian, you want to try that one?
Brian, I think the question is about CARISA or CARES funds, right? Direct charges.
I'm sorry, I didn't initially hear. Somebody had to kick me out. I had put it on mute. The question was?
Number 8 on the agenda.
Oh, was the direct charge question?
Yes.
So direct charge is simply that. It's just for purposes related to impact on student learning and support as a result of the pandemic.
Example?
So you need an example? Great example. I love this example. RadTech, this is hypothetical. RadTech has 4 X-ray machines. In the past, we've chosen not to fix one of the machines because there either no funding or because it wasn't necessary because they were being placed in the community or in the clinics. But because now where they can't go into the medical facilities and we need to socially distant and we're trying to get students more separated, we're going to use CARES to fix the 4th X-ray machine. Direct charge because as the impact of the pandemic, we had to get laptops for students because they did not have laptops. Those are some examples. It also extends to we needed to purchase wipes, sanitation wipes for the face-to-face classes. Does that help?
That was Angela's question. Angela, you okay? Yeah, she says.
I was laughing because you just reread the statement. But could you also maybe share something that sounds like it would be approved, but really doesn't meet the criteria?
Something that seems like it would be approved, but doesn't meet the criteria? Yeah, I'll give you a really good example. Anything, I'm not gonna give you a specific, I'll give you categorically. Anything that we would generally be spending money for anyway, regardless of the pandemic, in terms of using tuition and fees or general funds to make that purchase, is something that doesn't fit into this category, even if it does impact the student who is displaced because of the pandemic. Things like subscriptions, just because folks are going online now, we shouldn't be using CARES to pay that because we otherwise would be paying for it anyway.
Brian, it might be nice to have a list of examples, and maybe you already have that because I haven't applied for anything yet as a DC or otherwise. But I know that a lot of these things, they're not general funds, but they might be able to pay for not what do you call it when somebody overloads, or help me, other kinds of appointments they might be able to pay for. Anyway, a list of different ideas, you know, because I think that we're sort of far removed from that if we haven't had the opportunity to study it.
That would be tough. I mean, it could be any number of examples. What I encourage everyone to do is just to, if you feel like what you're asking for fits within this particular category, then I would submit the request through your respective department chair or dean, depending on you know who's making the request. Because there's a lot of different situations out there in which There's just so many different purchasing situations. It would be very difficult to put down all the different examples or even a subset of examples. Any other questions? I see Annie has a question. No, Annie, the recovery of loss of funds due to the pandemic is not specifically to a fund. It's basically institution wide. So we're using the fact that we took a huge hit on our tuition and fees because of our loss in international students. So even though our percentage of decline in terms of like headcount or SSH wasn't as drastic as we all expected it would be, we got hit pretty hard because our international students couldn't come.
So, Mike, I guess my question is, so we wouldn't be able to request things like if we're cutting our budget and there's things that support student academic support things, databases, and we can't afford them with our current budget, we couldn't request them to, because basically our budget comes from TFSF, right? And we're losing TFSF because of the pandemic. So couldn't we request things that we wouldn't be able to continue to pay for because of our cut to our budget? Or is it like we could request extra things that we wouldn't have paid for earlier, but not things we're going to cut that would maintain our services? You know what I'm saying?
Well, so you got to remember too that there's no yes or no answer to that, because the overriding issue is it going to help students who have been otherwise impacted by the pandemic, either instruction wise or support wise? So in your situation, support wise, I can, based off of that really high level example, I could see being able to fund what you're asking for. But you know, without specifics, it's hard to say yes or no. But if you're asking again just to replace because hey, tuition and fees were cut, and you know, now we need to, you're asking for something that's not related to students being impacted, then the answer would be a no.
And Brian, we need to talk about the sustainability and the timeline factor as well. So when we're talking about positions, there's a big difference between using CARES funds to cover the cost of an additional section because of social distancing requirements in a classroom or a lab that would be a specific semester, as opposed to a position that we would want to fund long-term when we know the impact to the state with regard to our tax base may go on to 2025. So we have to think about that too. You know, if we were to fund that position, how long could we fund it for?
This is, as you can see, it's a really nuanced area. So if you have some ideas, please do talk to your department chair and your program administrator about the needs and the intersection with the pandemic, either recovering from the pandemic or supporting us, continue to support us during the pandemic. And we are at 2:02 p.m. on the Zoom before spring break. So at this point, I'm going to say we're going to adjourn. I want to thank you for asking the questions, and I want to make sure that you spend some time over spring break, if you have the time, to rejuvenate, do the things that bring you joy, take care of yourself, stay healthy, and we'll see you March 20, whatever the next 24, I guess. And if you have questions about anything, you can always email the person who will likely have the answer. Thanks, everybody. You can unmute and say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Have a great
spring break. Yeah, happy spring break.
Aloha, everyone.
Bye.